Welcome back to the tech space. This is the what's now JavaScript tutorials number 11, and we're going over the for loop. So basically, with the for loop, if you watched the last tutorial, we went over a little video, and I showed you guys basically how not how they were used, but what the contingencies were for each loop and what you needed for each loop, and basically what an incrementer was. So if you need those notes, you can go back to the tutorial 10 and get those notes. But basically we're going to be building a for loop, so we'll go ahead and get started here. What you're going to write is for and a set of parameters and a body. Oh, and I had a few people tell me to make the code a little bit bigger, so I made the code a little bit bigger on the screen so it's a little bit easier to see. So this is how you create a basic for loop. You have for, set of parameters, and a body, just like in the last video. And in this parameters, you're going to test three different things. So what you're going to want to do is declare a variable first. So we're going to have a variable x is equal to 0. And we're going to say x is less than 10. Then we're going to set x plus plus. And if you remember from the last video, I said this is where you declare your variable. This is where you set the thing that's going to eventually end the loop, and this is the incrementer for the loop. So inside here, we can just say something simple. Just document right. This is a for loop. Okay, so basically what's going to happen here is, or what is happening here, is we have a variable x and it's set equal to 0. And the second thing is our condition. So it's saying while x is less than 10, then we want to run this code. And the x plus plus is the incrementer that says every time you run this code, add 1 to it. So if we go ahead and click Control S, we go to our website, you see this is a for loop printed out 10 times on the screen. Now, what we can see here is the incrementer from the last video. Like I said, it doesn't have to be up here. So I can delete the incrementer from up here, but when I run the code, you're going to see it doesn't even know what to do. I think the website actually just crashed. It's just loading and loading because it's just running a continuous loop. So what I'm going to do is close this, open it back up. Oh, I thought there was a button to actually open up Internet Explorer on here. Where's it at? Select Word, Pins. That's very weird. Okay, so run index.html again. Hurry up and go take that loop out. Okay, so just add the incrementer back. And rerun this. Okay. So we get this is a for loop once. Now, what we're going to want to do is take out this incrementer, click save, go down here, and in the body of this code we can write x plus equals 1. And that will increment your code by 1 without putting the incrementer up here. So basically, we have a loop, it declares the variable, it says x is less than 10, and then we have the code in here that's going to run 10 times because 0, every time this loop runs, it's going to say, okay, 0 plus 1 is 1, then 1 plus 1 is 2, then 2 plus 1 is 3, until it gets to something that isn't less than 10, so that would be 10. Now if I had less than or equal to, which is written with the less than sign and 2 equal signs in Java, then it would run until 10, which means I would get 10 10 of these, this loop would run 10 times, therefore this would turn out 10 times on the screen. But if I don't have this equal to, it'll run 9 times, because as soon as it hits 10, it will stop running. So we'll say equal to 10 with the incrementer inside of the for loop, and then refresh the page. And it's not loading for some reason. Okay, so I have to put the semicolon at the end. Rerun it. Having some issues. What could it possibly be? So we'll say a different thing. We'll do x is equal to x plus 1 as the incrementer. Okay, so if you take out the extra equal sign, I think that might have been something in old JavaScript, or forgive me, I've been programming in like a few different languages, like 4 different languages, so use one equal sign, and that means less than or equal to 10. Use the semicolon at the end, and then say x is equal to x plus 1, or you can say x plus equals 1, which I know is a little bit weird, but that'll increment x every time by 1 that this loop runs. So when we save that and run this, we get the same code. Now say if we were to say do this and then save it, and we run our website, actually I think that might crash it. Maybe I shouldn't have put that many. Let's do let's do like 10,000. It can handle that. Okay, so we'll reload the website if it will reload. There we go. So we got 10,000. This is the for loop statements printed out on the screen. And that's basically how you use a for loop. I know that I sort of messed up a little bit by putting 2 equal signs instead of 1, but sorry about that. And you do need to add the semicolon at the end over here. You could also just use the incrementer again up here to sort of delete the annoyance. X++ is the easiest one. Make sure you use lowercase. And whatever variable you declare up here, say I was to declare the variable apple, then I would have to say until, apple is less than or equal to 10,000, and then I would have to say apple plus plus. So it's the same thing, and then I could just say apple a bunch of times on the screen, and we'll have it even say it more times. We'll see if it loads 100,000. Save it, run the website again, and it might take a second to load, but I'm pretty sure it'll run. And there you go. So it'll run it, the Apple console log onto the screen, or document right onto the screen, 100,000 times for the for loop, and that's basically just how you can change the variable within the for loop. And that's basically it. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, post them in the comment section below. And I feel like there's something missing. There's one last thing. Okay, so the variable also can be declared outside. So I could also say, variable apple is equal to 0, and in here just say apple semicolon, and it would say, okay, apple is 0, so 0 is less than or equal to 100,000, and then when I control save it and run it again, we'll get the same screen, just reloaded with the scroll bar at the top this time, because when we say put the variable out of here, it'll already assign that value to this variable. So thank you guys for watching. That's the end of the for loop. In the next video we go over the while loop, which we talked about in tutorial 10. Again, if you need those notes, go back to tutorial 10 before you go to the next video. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.